How you doing over there? This is Michael Diamond. I'm here with Chris Miller. Once again, if you're watching this on my channel, Muscle Central, make sure you go over to Miller's channel, Buffy The IronSlayer. And if you're watching it over there, you can come over here and watch my content. Uh, I know you wanted to talk about a few things. You let me know, but we got something big now, and
Okay.
bodybuilders was talking about Flex Lewis,
Yeah.
seven-time 212 Olympia,
Mm.
retired.
I know, man. When I read about that, I was so disappointed. Uh, I remember last he was overcoming some kind of some injuries. I think it was like wear and tear on his joints, and he was doing some kind of regenerative therapy.
His shoulder, I believe.
Yeah, and it sounded like everything was going good. I mean, he looks huge still, and thought he was going to come back to the stage. I was just thinking, literally 3 days ago. I was thinking it during our last little podcast. I was like, because we don't have anyone really exciting anymore to look at, and I was like, man, I can't wait for Flex Lewis to come back. And then that shit.
The original plan was the 2018 Olympia. That was his final appearance on stage. He was going to take a year off and come back in 2020 to step on the open. He needed a year to make the improvements felt he needed to make to step on stage with the big boys.
Yeah.
Then we had the shoulder issue, something that needed to be addressed. And then, but the intention was to come on stage in 2020. 2020, here's the question. 2020, Rami wins the Olympia. In my opinion, not so grand a fashion, but he won it. He brought in a good package. Would Flex Lewis have beaten Rami in 2020?
Mm. It's so hard. I'd probably say no, because I just can't. I haven't seen them next to each other, so I mean, you never know. Because I think Flex Lewis is 5'6", 5'5", something like that. Big
I think you're being
Remy's.
kind. I think you're being kind. I believe he's between 5'4" and 5'5".
Oh,
I'm sure he's not any taller than 5'5",
okay.
if he's that much.
And then Big Remy's 5'11", right? And he's 300 something pounds. So I think he's like 100 pounds bigger than him, contest weight almost. Nah, I mean I probably like.
Sean Clarita just beat a couple of guys about 100 pounds heavier than him also.
That's true, very true. It's such a rare occasion that someone could get that title as the giant killer, But I think Sean earned it, at least the last couple wins he brought, and then yeah, but I mean
Well,
oh good.
well, Flex brought a very we seen him pre-contest 4 to 6 weeks out, and he's in tremendous shape at that point. And you see the size that he carries,
Yeah,
and when you look at the overall picture, Flex is very complete,
yeah,
and he has forearms and calves.
I know.
yeah,
Huge. Yeah,
he,
I was gonna like kind of add in there that I like his physique way more than Big Ramy's. That's for damn sure. I just don't know. I couldn't tell you without seeing them next to each other. But I am definitely more of a fan of Flex Lewis. Like if I had to choose between the two, I'd pick Flex. That he looks way better. I don't care how much bigger Ramy is.
Flex Lewis could have beaten the Brandon Curry that won the Olympia title. Yes or no?
Yeah, I think that's more of a possibility. He's more complete. Um, and yeah, what Brandon Curry, I mean, the issue is always like his legs just not quite being on par. Flex doesn't really have that problem. So I'd say he's more the complete bodybuilder for sure.
Well,
But
I can see Flex. We've seen pictures of him at around the 230 mark, and I
mm,
could see him putting on a few more pounds than that without blowing out his physique. And we talk about his height,
mhm.
but that would make him look even more like Sean Clarita at 5'2", even though he's a 180. That's a lot of muscle at 5'2". Uh, he looks like a mini me Ronnie Coleman. Carrying, like Flex is not that tall. Carrying that much muscle on that size frame, it's gonna look pretty fucking freaky.
He does. I mean, look at it. Look at his calves and his forearms, and how how freaky they are. You know, it's every time I'm doing forearms, I'm like, man, I need to get those Flex Lewis forearms. You know.
You know, I'm not so sure. I think that a, a 235 or even 240 Flex Lewis, as long as he doesn't blow out his physique, he brings in the kind of package he brought in at 212 at that weight. I think he could have very easily given Rami a run for his money.
Yeah, as long as his waist doesn't come blown out too. You know, that's usually you see that. It's bound to happen when those guys get super big. The waist just comes with it, and
I think, yeah, I think the completeness of him, uh, with the conditioning and on that the freakiness he would have at that height with that much muscle on him, I think that could overcome uh, the sheer size of Rami. Because if you look at everything else, every other point, where would Rami have him beat?
nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, he's bigger. He's physically bigger than him. He's structurally bigger than him. But if you go on all the criteria that we're supposed to judge a show on, uh, where does he have him beat?
Well, and I say what I say because I pretty much have no faith in the judging criteria of the you know, at least the heavyweight class. That it seems
Yeah,
that symmetry's out the window. They don't care about that. They just care about someone who looks freaky in some sort of way. Doesn't matter if they're unbalanced. And I mean, you got Hadi Chupin, who's right there too. Who, if I'm sure if you stood him next to Flex Lewis, it'd be very comparable.
I
Imagine
got
that.
I that I would have liked. Well, we did see him. Excuse me. We saw them next to each other. Was it 2017? And
It's a long time
it
ago,
was,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. But then again, that wasn't the Olympia. Flex definitely wasn't his best, and he's always showed up at the Olympia. So we saw him next to each other, but we didn't see Flex at his best. I'm sure on the Olympia stage, he's never not brought it. That would be a great matchup. But Flex Lewis did not decide to retire. If he would have, I'm sure he would have gotten an invite again. The way Dan Solomon worded it when he was asked about it, I'm pretty sure that he was going to get an invite again. How would it be done in 2022?
If he competed in the heavyweight,
Yeah, if he didn't decide to step down because uh, after last year when he passed it up again, the initial goal was to step on stage in 2022. Everything was out of the way. His shoulders taken care of. He did the deed. He got his wife pregnant again, which he
yeah.
wanted to do. And the goal was to step on stage in 2022. But now all of a sudden we hear he is going to retire. If he would have went through with it, followed through and stepped on stage in 2022, how could he have done on stage this year?
it'd be more than safe to say he would get top 5. I think it's entirely possible for top 3. And I save my judgment for when I would actually see him next to everybody else. But as far as the shape of his physique and what he brings usually, I'd say him and Hadi Chupin would be my top picks.
Well, I was very strong about him all for quite a while. I made a number of videos talking about him where I definitely thought take that the open title. But I just made a video recently. I thought about it some more. 4 years away from the stage is a lot of time.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
even if you're training and keeping up with everything, keep yourself in shape. 4 years not going through the prep, stepping on stage is a long time, and I don't recall anybody having a good outcome. You might say Arnold Schwarzenegger in 1980, but I think a lot of people will also agree that he got a gift in 1980. So was it really a good outcome? And I'm saying I would like to see him come back and take it, but gut feeling was after reevaluating it, 4 years away, it would be a much more difficult task.
Yeah, it's funny too, the timing of that, because I'm gonna do a show this year, October 8th. I'm gonna do the Legion, and
In about 3-4 years.
it's been 5 years for me. Yeah, so it'll be 5 years when this show happens. And the last thing I did was the Natural Olympia, and
Yeah, I
that
remember.
was
I saw clips from that.
that was that was a
You look
disappointment
great.
in so many ways. What's that?
I said you look. I saw clips from that. You look great, by the way.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, thank you very much.
What place did you come in again?
Well, it's so weird. Okay, so I'll say this about my experiences with the PNBA is that they're just a little too mom and pop and a little like too into playing favorites and people who brown nose people who show up to shows and volunteer their time and whatever. No matter what, that just kind of I've noticed that there's always favoritism. There's people who shouldn't be on the judging panel who are like somehow connected to someone on stage. I've seen, but anyways, uh, so there was a guy that I was kind of buddying up with because I've done every show. Like I show up to my shows. I'm by myself usually. I don't have anyone backstage to help. I mean, a few times I did, but anyways, I team up with this dude, and he's looking at me. He's like, "Damn, like you look great. You know, you're gonna do amazing." And giving him pointers and stuff. He's asking me questions, and even backstage, and we're pumping up. I'm next to all the guys who got top 5, and we're looking at each other, giving the head nod, like you look good, that kind of shit. And so I was in the middle of every group of people I stood with. They never stood me with the top 5 though. They never let me stand next to them. But all the numbers past that, like all the way to like 23 or 4, I was with all those people, and every time I was in the middle of every group of people I was with, and I knew I was beating them. You could tell. And then, but they never let me stand with the top 5, and I was like, "What the fuck is that?"
Well,
And,
the last show when I brought up about Ronnie Coleman. Ronnie Coleman, and didn't get got third call out, and like they weren't sticking him next to the top guys where it should have been compared, and that's what it's. They got to figure out a way to get people compared up, more comparisons going on.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, because just you stand against this group, and then you stand against you might look. People have find a hard time understanding how it is, but you can stand in front of a lesser. I hate to use that word, but a lesser group of people, and look good, and then stand against a better group of people and look, wow, it just the dynamics change. They need to find a way to get uh, more comparisons. You get
And
against a wider array of people to get a better idea of what's going on.
yeah, and you know, like, so when you're at a show, like, of course you got to strategize the way you're on stage, your presence, you know, your energy, and maybe who you pick someone who you know is like kind of a top dog, and you're gonna want to pose off with them and shit, and try to outmuscle them, whatever. And so since they never stood me next to the top five guys when we did the pose down, I was like following a couple of them, standing next to, you know, the guy who got second place, Justin Figueroa.
Well,
Um,
there are things in your physique that might expose things in that guy's physique that others other physiques don't expose.
mhm.
You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah. I mean, you really got to look at every one of them next to each other. Except
Yeah.
sometimes you can just tell, like, all right, yeah, no. But uh, I sat, you know, I posed next to a bunch of those guys. Even the guy who got first place, Rob Terry. The guy was like fucking 6'5" or some bullshit.
I knew he was so tall, but he was that tall.
He was, bro. He was like 6'5", I believe, 6'5", 6'6" maybe. But he was a wrestler, you know, and I won't talk about that. Nick Strength and Power did a great cover story on the Olympia, the 2017 Natural Olympia. He's basically calling him out, just saying, "Yeah, bullshit, man. You're not natural." And that was my thoughts, you know. And that you can tell the guy during his wrestling career that he's in the middle of a, you know, he's
So, since you got into that quickly before
sure,
we
yeah.
get back to Flex Lewis, when I
Mm,
first started competing, my idea was to compete in a natural division. So my first 2 years of competing in the FPC was natural. I forget what the organization was. Some guys from my gym were competing in that organization.
mhm.
This it was the Hercules Classic. It actually fell right around the same time as the Bev Francis Atlantic States. That was my goal to get to compete in that show. And training, and getting close to the time. And now I contact them, want to get all the information, and they give me all the regulations, all the things that you can't use, and I ask them about the testing procedures, which of course is just a lie detector. And like, okay, what happens if you fail a test? Because people can fail a lie detector and be telling the truth, and pass a lie detector and be lying their asses off.
Yeah.
So you have to pay a fee for the testing. You lose your money, your entry. You got to join the organization, enter the competition, and then pay for the testing fee. You lose it all, and then you can't compete in their organization for 7 years. So I said to them, well, you know what? I know for a fact you had guys in your organization that competed in the show last year that aren't natural because they train in my gym.
Yeah.
So that led me over to the NPC.
Yeah,
It's
it's
supposed to be a natural show, but I know for a fact that guys that are competing and winning medals that are placing in top five, their shows are natural because I know them personally. They train in my gym, and I know what they're doing. So
to get this. So the guy that same year, the guy who won the board shorts category, he was on one of their fancy little banners in the back of the stage. You know, he's one of their favorites, of course. And dude, I've seen this kid for like, say, like a 3-4 year time span, and he did not have any gyno on his chest at one point. And I saw him at the Olympia, and dude, he had like it looked like someone stuffed a sliced pineapple ring under his fucking nipple.
it was that bad.
It was so bad. It was just one too, and I think you could even see it on the poster that they had of him. And I'm looking around like, Is anyone else not looking at this fucking elephant in the room right now? This is bullshit.
Yeah.
Of course he won. He won that shit that year, and then I'll since I started into it, the Rob Terry guy. I mean, you could tell there's something going on there too with him. And after that Olympia, I stopped competing because they left such a bad taste in my mouth. And there's more to the story to it, but he over the next couple of years, you could tell he got a little smaller, a little smaller, a little smaller, and a little softer looking. And I'm like, yeah, it's because he hasn't used in a while, and he's trying to stick to the natural criteria, which, by the way, is a bunch of bullshit too. Okay, they changed the criteria over the last, like I was with the INBA, PNBA for I don't know a long time, almost a decade, whatever. And the beginning, they said you have to be, I think it was like 10 years natural and drug free, this and that. They drug
What
test every show.
what's their testing procedure protocol? What do they do?
It's a joke. But towards the end, they changed it to 5 years drug free and random/targeted drug testing. All right. So their procedure, it's just whatever. You walk into the bathroom like everyone else, you get in line.
A urine test.
Yeah, urine test. One guy with the bag and handing out the bottles. Might be a second guy watching people, but not really. I mean,
But
it'd be
you don't
easy.
somebody that's been clean for 5 years, that maintained good training, good eating. You don't think they have an advantage over somebody who's been completely natural the whole time? Of course they do.
You're saying someone who's been using?
I was saying if somebody's been clean now, he's off for 5 years, but you maintain good solid training, good
Oh,
nutrition.
yes,
You mean to tell me they don't have an advantage over somebody that's been actually natural this whole time? Of course they.
exactly. Yeah, of course they do. And muscle memory is a big thing. Like once you get as big as you'll ever get, and you say you stop for a while, and whether or not you're on PEDs for the second time around, you're going to get pretty close to what you were, regardless. So
Getting, getting back to Fletch Lewis, did you hear in his interview his main reason for retiring? Well, what one of his reasons for retiring?
yeah, I read that he wanted to focus on his family and his business ventures.
That too. But what I was getting at, he said that he's even making what, even though he had to make a weight, the 212. Even back then, he always had issues, digestive issues. He always had a hard time putting down the food.
I
And he
didn't know
said
that.
now, he started really focusing on the Open and training for the Olympia again in the Open, the amount of food that he had to put down, as much trouble as he had before, he said he was constantly sick, constantly nauseous, and it was affecting every facet of it, something to that effect, affecting everything in his life. The fact that he was so nauseated all the time, basically 24 hours, from all the food he had to consume.
Sounds like some.
That's what he said. You can see part of the interview on RX Muscle. They have a video up where he's I'm not sure who he's interviewing with. There's a woman and a guy there, and he mentions that. I got a feeling some of the things that have been going on recently is making twice about pushing the envelope again.
He's
I'm talking about the recent tragedies we've had. I think that has a big factor on it, and the fact that he has a family, he does have businesses. The gym is doing great. It's going to be a new mecca over there on the West Coast. But I think part of it also is he doesn't want to, with all the recent things that have happened.
Well,
Unfortunately, he doesn't want to push it.
he was really close to Dallas McCarver, and I know that shocked him. And
Well, that was before. That was before. You know what I'm talking about. That of course, that's going to affect him. But that was also before what's been going on of the
yeah,
last years. I think
yeah,
that's making him nervous.
sure, yeah, I'd be nervous too, man. I mean, I'm not gigantic by any means, but I'm 5'7", like 200 pounds right now, and I'm pretty damn lean. Yeah, it's big enough for me, and I can't imagine being 230 pounds, super ripped. Like that would
Yeah.
just be. I've been 225 pounds at my heaviest, but I wasn't lean. But
Well,
you can feel.
when you're heavy,
Mm,
heavy you are. I mean, of course, you don't want to be a big fat slob, but your body, your heart doesn't know that you're carrying around
mm,
300 pounds of rippling muscle or 300 pounds of blubbery fat. Your
right.
body's
Yeah.
just you're carrying around a lot of weight. So either way, that's pretty stressful on the body.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't really have any ambitions to get bigger than where I'm at. I just want to get like some more muscle maturity, and I don't know, add a little bit of size here and there, but nothing crazy. I'll never jump on the bandwagon of all the drugs people take. It's just I'm happy with what I got, and I'd rather keep my health.
I just want to be able to, at my age, I'm hitting 59 this year. I just want to be able to maintain what I have as much as I can and as much strength as I can, and hopefully age gracefully. Okay, his decision to retire, uh, is it a good decision? Is it a bad decision? And what's your personal feelings on it?
I think it's a good decision. Uh, Competitive bodybuilding, no matter how you cut it, how you go about it, it's a risky thing to do. And if you got a family to take care of, it almost at that point it becomes kind of selfish, especially if you're on a boatload of drugs and you're a top competitor. It's taking a huge risk, man. And uh, unless you're winning shows all the time and you're on top it's
Well,
and you're taking all this stuff. I mean, you're just gambling with your life, hoping to
yeah.
win something, and you probably won't.
Pushing it at 30 years of age, and then pushing it at almost 40 years of age, is a big difference on in what it does to the body, how your body handles it. Your body's going to handle it a little differently at the age of 30 than it is at the age of 40. I think that's
Sure.
probably part of the problem with with a lot of the bodybuilders today. They're competing at a at an older age, and they're pushing it at an older age, which the body just can't handle it. As far as Flex Lewis, on a personal level, pissed me off. I wanted to see, I wanted to see him on stage against
Yeah,
these big guys. I think that if he would have came back after a year off, uh, just to grow into the division, I think he could have been extremely dangerous in 2020, and I do not discount the idea that he could have won the Olympia 2020. But on the other hand, it's probably the best decision for him. The Dragon's Lair that he relocated out in is Vegas, right? Is out in your
I
state.
thought yeah, I think you're right. I think it is in
Yeah,
Vegas. Yeah,
it looks like it's turning into what uh, Gold's Venice was back in the 70s. We're going to see all the top bodybuilders from that area out there. Then we got the East Coast Mecca, Bev Francis. And I'm sure he has other businesses going on also. He has a clothing line. And I don't know what, he has a few other things going on. I don't remember offhand. Uh, he has one child, another child on the way. He's not going to disappear from the sport. He probably made the best decision for him and his family.
Yeah, and I mean, I could see him coming out with his own show, you know, the Flex Lewis Classic or something
Yeah,
like that.
why
You know, if
not?
he was, yeah, exactly. He earned it.
I think he's going to stay involved in the sport very much the way Jay Cutler is still very much involved with the sport.
I'm glad
And,
he is. He was one of my favorites ever.
and I don't think Flex Lewis is going to drift away anytime soon. And even while he was still competing, he seemed to have no problem helping other people, even if you might end up standing on stage next to him.
I was
Which
always that way, competing with people, you know? Like
yeah,
I I just feel like may the best physique win, and I would never like, you know, like how Arnold would throw salt in people's game any way he could to win. Like I would rather have someone at their best and me beat them, you know.
yeah. That's all. You bring in your best package. They bring in their best package, and if you deserve, I don't want something I don't deserve.
Yeah, same.
If you're going to give me something, I want to deserve it.
Hey,
It's not. There's no
you know it's
satisfaction.
what's funny is I got I got a I got a participation medal when I did the Olympia because I didn't obviously didn't place top five. So as I was walking off stage, I threw it in the trash can at the bottom of the stairs. Yeah, one of the guy backstage saw me do that, and I didn't give a shit after that.
Yeah, I grew up. I'm a little bit old. I'm a little bit older than you. Well, actually, a lot older than you probably. Uh, I grew up in the era where you won, you lost.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that was it. And losing was a part of life, and you learn from it. But like I said, I don't want to get something that I don't deserve.
yeah.
All right, it was fun. Let's try to round this up over here. Once again, if you're watching this on the Muscle Central channel, make sure you go over to Chris's channel, Buffy the IronSlayer. He has a lot of great content over there, and check out all his content. Make sure you subscribe also. Don't forget to subscribe. If you're watching it over there, come over to my channel, Muscle Central, watch my channel, and of course, you got to subscribe to my channel. Uh, Chris, it's been fun. Everybody,
Always.
yeah, we'll see you next time.
All right, guys, take care.